Nikki Haley's claim about Biden, Harris, and racism is debunked. On Wednesday, Nikki Haley, the Republican former governor of South Carolina and former U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, delivered the first speech of her 2024 presidential campaign. Like many campaign speeches, Haley's speech in Charleston was heavy on broad themes and light on specific claims that can be verified. She did, however, make an especially inflammatory accusation against President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris: America and racism. Haley claimed that under Biden and Harris, a self-loathing has swept our country. She said, "Every day we're told America is flawed, rotten, and full of hate." Joe and Kamala go so far as to say that America is racist. That could not be further from the truth. First and foremost, both Biden and Harris have stated explicitly that they do not believe America is racist, though both have also stated that systemic racism remains embedded in American institutions such as policing and the criminal justice system. Biden and Harris have both denied that America is racist. In April 2021, Biden and Harris were asked about South Carolina Senator Tim Scott, the Senate's only black Republican, who claimed that America is not a racist country. They were both in agreement. "No, I don't think the American people are racist," Biden said on NBC. "But I believe that after 400 years, African Americans have been left behind the eight ball in terms of education, health, and opportunity." Biden went on to say that he doesn't believe anyone says, "I don't want any black person around me or living next to me." Rather, he stated, there were laws that said a black person couldn't live in that neighborhood. "I don't think America is racist," he continued, "but I think the overhang from Jim Crow, and before that, slavery, has had a cost, and we have to deal with it." "No, I don't think America is a racist country," Harris said on ABC. "But we must also speak the truth about our country's history and current state of racism. And I applaud the president for always having the ability, and the courage, frankly, to speak the truth about it." Biden and Harris have both condemned systemic racism. Biden and Harris do agree with Haley on one point, that various American institutions are plagued by systemic racism. That is, racism is baked into institutions' laws, policies, and practices rather than being perpetrated solely by prejudiced individuals. As president, Biden has repeatedly stated that systemic racism is a major issue in the country, while never claiming that the country as a whole is racist. During an extended discussion about racial disparities in criminal sentencing at a CNN town hall in early 2021, he stated, "I think we have to deal with systemic racism that exists throughout society." He vowed in a speech in early 2021 that his administration would work to dismantle systemic racism across the board by advancing racial equity across the whole of government. In healthcare, education, housing, economic mobility, environmental justice, civil rights, and the administration of justice itself. Months later, after white former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin was convicted of murdering a black man named George Floyd, Biden said the crime exposed the systemic racism that is a stain on our nation's soul. Harris has taken a similar approach, not saying the United States is a racist nation but arguing that systemic racism continues to plague some of the nation's key institutions. During the Black Lives Matter protests that followed the murder of Floyd in 2020, Harris wrote in Cosmopolitan magazine, "Let's speak the truth, people are protesting because black people have been treated as less than human in America. Because our country has never fully addressed the systemic racism that has plagued our country since its earliest days." She went on to say that structural racism lives on in our policies and in our daily lives. "America has a long history of systemic racism," Harris said after Chauvin's conviction in 2021. "Black Americans, particularly black men, have been treated as less than human throughout our history. Black men are fathers, brothers, sons, uncles, grandfathers, friends, and neighbors. Their lives must be valued in our education system, in our healthcare system, in our housing system, in our economic system, in our criminal justice system, in our nation. End of story.